My entire world shattered in a single, horrifying moment. 3 years of love, trust, and dreams evaporated, replaced by a gut-wrenching betrayal I never saw coming. It was just another Friday movie night with Harrison, a tradition we'd cherished since almost the beginning of our 3-year relationship. We just put a deposit down on our dream house, had names picked out for future kids. Basically, we were living our happily ever after. Or so I thought. He fell asleep on the couch, exhausted from what he claimed was a stressful week at work. His phone, tragically, lay face up on the coffee table, unlocked. Then it lit up. A message from someone saved innocently as work project with a little emoji. My stomach clenched, but I told myself it was nothing. Then another message popped up. Miss your touch already. And then the final brutal blow. Last night was amazing. Can't wait to see you again tomorrow. My breath caught in my throat. It felt like a physical punch to the gut, like being thrown off a cliff. 3 years. Every I love you, every promise, every shared dream. Were they all just carefully constructed lies? I did something I swore I'd never do. My heart pounding, I picked up his phone. And what I found, it was worse than I could have imagined. This wasn't just some flirty exchange. There were explicit messages, plans for hotel meetups, even photos I immediately wished I could unsee. All of it dating back at least 2 months. And then the ultimate slap in the face. Messages about me, about handling the situation and not wanting to hurt me. As if this months-long deception wasn't already destroying me. The audacity. I wanted to scream, to smash his phone, to wake him up and demand answers. But then a cold, calculating resolve settled over me. A part of me I didn't even know existed told me to wait. So, I carefully placed his phone back, pulled the blanket over him like the loving girlfriend I was still pretending to be, and walked to the bathroom. There I had the quietest, most agonizing panic attack of my life. I spent the rest of that night wide awake, staring at the ceiling, my mind a whirlwind of questions. Who was this person? How long had this really been going on? Was this why he was working late so often? And our house. That deposit was most of my life savings. The next morning was surreal. Harrison woke up, kissed my forehead, and acted completely normal. He made me breakfast, talked about paint colors for our new house. I'm no actress, but that day, I deserve an Oscar. I smiled, I nodded, I pretended my entire world wasn't crumbling into dust. As soon as he left for his Saturday morning gym session, which I now realized was probably a rendezvous with work project, I called Sally, my best friend. She was over in minutes, and we spent the next 3 hours dissecting every detail I could recall from those horrific messages. Sally, bless her, suggested we dig deeper. Harrison and I shared a credit card for household expenses. We logged in, and there it was, a digital breadcrumb trail of betrayal. Dinners at fancy restaurants I'd never been to, Uber rides at odd hours, even a hotel charge from a weekend. He swore he was on a business trip. My stomach lurched. Every repressed suspicion, every gut feeling I'd pushed down over the last few months, was now undeniable fact. The late nights, the sudden work emergencies, the expensive new cologne, the suspicious laptop password changes. It all clicked into place, forming a sickeningly clear picture. By the way, if you're still with me, still reeling from this story, make sure to hit that subscribe button. More unbelievable stories are coming, and you won't want to miss them. I knew I couldn't just confront him. He'd gaslight me, minimize it, spin some narrative about how things weren't working out. I wanted him to understand, to truly feel the earth-shattering pain he'd inflicted. Sally agreed. We needed more evidence, a foolproof plan. So, for the next few days, I became the perfect girlfriend. I cooked his favorite dinners, pretended not to notice his phone buzzing with texts, and his knowing smiles. I even initiated intimacy, which honestly made me feel physically ill afterward, but I had to maintain the charade. This morning, I casually mentioned a work trip next weekend. His eyes lit up, a flicker of excitement he quickly tried to hide. But I saw it, the wheels turning in his head, an empty apartment, all to himself. It confirmed everything. My plan was set. I pretend to leave for this trip, but instead, I'd be at Sally's apartment across town. I had a feeling he'd invite work project over to our home. And when he did, that's when I would make my move. I'm not a vengeful person, but something inside me had snapped. 3 years of my life, my savings, my trust. He wasn't going to just walk away scot-free. It's been exactly 1 week since I discovered Harrison's betrayal, and honestly, it feels like I've been living a double life. On the surface, I'm still the loving girlfriend, excited about our future. But underneath, I've been a meticulous private investigator, gathering evidence and meticulously planning my escape. I met with a financial advisor, just as many of you suggested. She helped me draft a letter to the escrow company, ready to go. I also opened a new bank account and started moving small amounts of money from our joint savings, enough for emergency funds, but not enough for him to notice. Then came the true test. Harrison's marketing firm had their monthly team happy hour. Partners were always invited, and I usually skipped. Not this time. This time I had to go. And there she was. Work project in the flesh. Her name is Dina, the new creative director. Harrison introduced us, so casually, like my world wasn't imploding as I shook her hand. She was exactly what I'd feared. Gorgeous, confident, stylish. Everything I'd been feeling insecure about. Their interactions were sickeningly obvious. The inside jokes, the lingering eye contact, how he kept finding excuses to be near her. At one point, I went to the bathroom, only to circle back and find them huddled in a corner, heads close together, speaking intensely. They jumped apart when someone approached. I wanted to scream, to throw my drink in their faces. Instead, I smiled, played dumb, even complimented her expensive AF earrings. As we were leaving, I overheard her tell him, "Your girlfriend seems so sweet," with this fake, sympathetic voice. I swear I had to dig my nails into my palms to keep from losing it. That night, Harrison was extra affectionate, probably out of guilt. He even suggested we look at furniture for our new house online. The sheer audacity. I sat there, picking out couches while inside, I imagined setting fire to everything he loved. The next day, I downloaded our phone carrier's app, the one that shows location history for family plans. And it was a goldmine. Every Tuesday and Thursday, when he supposedly worked late, his phone was at an address across town. A quick Google search, cross-referenced with social media, confirmed it, Dina's apartment. Twice a week like clockwork. Thursday was the hardest day to keep up the charade. I knew exactly where he was going after work, exactly what he was doing, and with whom. He texted me, "Gotta finish some graphics, we'll be late." I responded with a sweet, "No problem, babe. I'll save you some dinner. Love you," while literally shaking with rage. While he was gone, I did a deep dive into our finances again. I found charges for expensive restaurants, wine shops, even a jewelry store from last month. Jewelry. I hadn't received a single piece of jewelry from him in 6 months. The purchase date was the day before Valentine's Day. He'd given me a card. Just a card. Now I knew where his real gift went. Movie night again on Friday, the bitter irony not lost on me. He picked another boring tech documentary. This time, I watched him instead of the movie. The way he checked his phone, angled it away when texting. All those ignore behaviors now screamed red flags. After he fell asleep, I checked his phone again. The work project chat was deleted, but a new one, DWR, clearly Dina, was there. They were making plans for next weekend, my fake work trip. So, here was the final plan. I told Harrison I was leaving Thursday night for a healthcare conference in Denver, totally plausible. But in reality, I'd be at Sally's, watching everything unfold via the doorbell camera I'd secretly installed yesterday. Dina would be coming over Friday night, probably sleeping in our bed. The thought still made me physically ill, but it would be the final, undeniable proof I needed. While they were playing house, I'd be executing phase 2, sending that letter to escrow, transferring the rest of our joint funds, packing my essential belongings, printing all my evidence, and preparing for the confrontation of a lifetime. I wanted something more impactful than a momentary gotcha. I wanted Harrison to understand exactly what he was losing. Me, our future, his reputation, his dignity. The hardest part? Pretending everything was normal. Sleeping in the same bed, eating meals, talking about getting a dog for our new house. Sometimes, I'd look at him and still see the man I fell in love with, the man who held my hand through my dad's health scare, who surprised me with concert tickets. Then I'd remember the texts, the lies, the betrayal. And all I felt was cold, hard determination. Y'all, my hands are shaking as I type this. The last 72 hours have been the most emotionally draining of my life, but what went down was more satisfying than I could have ever imagined. Last Thursday, I kissed Harrison goodbye, my overnight bag packed for my conference. He even helped carry my bag, told me he'd miss me, and would just be catching up on work. The lies this man could tell with a straight face were unbelievable. I drove around the block, waited 20 minutes, then headed straight to Sally's. We'd set up a command center, snacks, wine, and a laptop. While we waited, I finalized everything. I sent the notarized letter to the escrow company, withdrawing from the house purchase. I transferred my portion of our joint savings to my new account, changed all my passwords, removed myself as an authorized user on our credit cards. Around 7:30 p.m., the doorbell camera alerted us. There she was, Dina, looking gorgeous, carrying an overnight bag and a bottle of wine. Harrison greeted her with a kiss that made my stomach churn. They didn't even wait to get inside, pawing at each other in the doorway of our home. That's when something inside me shifted. Sally saw it. She said my whole face changed. I wasn't sad anymore. I was done. And then I did something I never thought I would. I opened the doorbell camera app and I hit record. I captured everything. The kiss, them going inside, even their conversation through the door about how nice it was to finally have the place to themselves. The audio was crystal clear. You could literally hear Harrison telling Dina how excited he was for a Harrison and Dina weekend without having to worry about Gloria. I saved that recording. I even downloaded the Ring app to my laptop so I could keep recording anytime they came into view on the balcony with wine glasses when Harrison ordered food delivery. I caught all. That night, I did something even bolder. I set up my old phone on our apartment balcony. We're on the second floor, and the balcony wraps around to the bedroom window. With Sally's brother keeping watch, I climbed the fire escape and positioned the phone to see into our bedroom through the gap in the curtains Harrison never closed properly. The next morning, I went to our apartment while Harrison was at work. I had exactly 3 hours to get everything important out. Sally and her 2 brothers helped. We worked like a well-oiled machine. I only took what was undeniably mine: clothes, personal items, family heirlooms, a few pieces of furniture I'd brought into the relationship. I left all the joint purchases. I wasn't interested in stuff. I just wanted out. Before I left, I did one final sweep. In the bathroom, I found her hairbrush and makeup on my vanity. In the kitchen, 2 wine glasses in the sink. And in the bedroom, well, let's just say the evidence of their night together was obvious. I left my key on the counter, along with some printed evidence of their affair, a few text screenshots, some credit card statements, just enough for him to know I wasn't clueless. But I kept the recordings for myself. For now. Then I blocked Harrison on everything: phone, email, social media, even Venmo. I contacted our friends and family, letting them know we'd broken up, that I wouldn't be discussing details, but that I needed space from anything related to him. I expected to feel victorious, triumphant. Instead, I just felt empty. 3 years gone. All our plans, our inside jokes, our routines, erased in a single morning. I cried the entire way back to Sally's. But then his messages started coming through on my work email, the one communication method I'd forgotten to block. The first email: Gloria, where are you? Just came home for lunch and saw your stuff gone. What's happening? Call me ASAP. The second: I see the papers you left. This isn't what you think. Please call me so I can explain. The third: I know I've made mistakes, but we can work through this. Don't throw away 3 years over a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding? Is that what we're calling sleeping with your coworker for months while planning a future with someone else? The emails kept coming all afternoon, each one more desperate than the last. By evening, he was alternating between apologizing profusely and being angry that I had invaded his privacy and acted so drastically without talking to him first. When the emails didn't work, he started showing up at places he thought I might be: my favorite coffee shop, my parents' house, Sally's apartment. Thankfully, she didn't tell him I was there. He even went to my workplace, causing such a scene that my boss almost called security. The sheer audacity of this man, to act like I was the one who did something wrong. That's when the rage I'd been suppressing finally boiled over. So I did it. I really did it. I created a private link to all the recordings, the doorbell footage, the balcony conversation, everything, and sent it to Harrison's parents. I didn't include any angry message or explanation. I simply wrote, "I thought you should know why Harrison and I won't be buying the house together after all. I'm sorry to send this, but you deserve the truth." 10 minutes later, Harrison's phone apparently blew up with calls from his parents. How do I know? Because he sent me 20 text messages from his friend's phone about how I had ruined his life, and how could you send that to my parents? But I wasn't done. I also sent the link to his boss, not just out of pure revenge, but because their company had a strict policy against inter-office relationships, especially between people at different levels. They had been conducting their affair on company time, using company resources. Harrison had even recently received a promotion that arguably should have gone to his coworker Larry, who was struggling to support his family. Dina had advocated for Harrison in meetings. That night, Harrison apparently went on a bender with his friends. By 2 a.m., I'd received 51 text messages from unknown numbers, him borrowing friends' phones to get around my block. They ranged from, "I love you more than anything," to "You've destroyed everything I've worked for," to "How could you do this to me?" My personal favorite, "You can't just disappear after 3 years together and expose my personal life to everyone. What am I supposed to tell people? Maybe tell them the truth, Harrison, that you're a cheating liar who got caught?" Saturday morning, Dina herself reached out via Instagram, now also blocked. Her message wasn't apologetic. Apparently, she'd been called into an emergency meeting with HR and was facing possible termination. She blamed me for overreacting and not handling this like an adult. By Saturday afternoon, word had spread through our friend group. Reactions were mixed. Some immediately took my side, disgusted by Harrison's behavior. Others thought I went nuclear by involving his workplace and family. A few tried to remain neutral, saying I should have just walked away quietly. But here's the thing about consequences. Sometimes they need to be public. Harrison wasn't just betraying me in private. He was lying to his parents about the house, manipulating workplace dynamics, and planning to continue his double life indefinitely. Why should I be the only one bearing the pain of his choices? That evening, Harrison's mother called me. How did I forget to block her number? To my shock, she wasn't angry at me at all. She was devastated about what her son had done and thanked me for showing her the truth, painful as it was. She apologized for raising such a dishonest man and said their family would be having some serious conversations with Harrison. After that call, I turned off my phone completely for 24 hours. I needed a break from the drama, from the emotions, from the constant reminders of what I'd lost. When I turned it back on this morning, there were more messages, more missed calls, more people wanting a piece of me and my story. So where am I now? Still at Sally's, still processing, still alternating between confidence in my decision and moments of wondering if I went too far. The apartment manager confirmed Harrison is clearing out his stuff today, so I can return soon. But I'm not sure I want to. That apartment is filled with memories I'm not ready to face alone. I'm thinking of finding a new place entirely, a fresh start. I've also decided to take a week off work to clear my head. My boss was incredibly understanding. As for the house, the escrow company confirmed my withdrawal notice. I'll lose some earnest money, but that's a small price to pay for not being legally tied to Harrison for the biggest purchase of my life. Harrison is still trying to reach me through mutual friends, but now his tone has completely changed. He's not saying he deserves a chance to explain anymore. He's begging me to please stop sharing the recordings and swearing he's learned his lesson. Too little, too late, Harrison. Many of you asked if I'd ever confront him face to face. And the answer is yes, but not how or when I expected. About a week after I sent those recordings, I was having coffee at a little cafe across town, specifically chosen because it was too hipster for Harrison. I was journaling, something my therapist suggested, when I heard someone say my name. I looked up. There he was. Harrison. He looked like absolute hell, unshaven, dark circles under his eyes, wrinkled clothes. He'd clearly lost weight, and his eyes had this haunted look I'd never seen before. For a split second, I felt a surge of satisfaction, seeing him so wrecked. Then it was replaced by pure anxiety. I was not ready for this. He asked if he could sit down. My first instinct was to say no and leave, but something in me needed closure. So I nodded. What followed was the most honest conversation we'd had in months, maybe ever. I just listened as he tried to explain himself. The affair with Dina had started as flirting, then drinks, then, He claimed he never meant for it to happen. Classic. That he'd been stressed about the house purchase. Please. That he still loved me, but had gotten caught up in the excitement. Gag me. But then, to my surprise, he addressed what I'd done, sending the recordings to his parents and boss. He didn't seem angry about it anymore. He said after the initial shock and humiliation, he realized it was exactly what he deserved. His parents had apparently given him the disappointment talk of a lifetime, made him pay back their portion of the house deposit, and told him he needed to grow up and face consequences. At work, he'd been put on probation and removed from Dina's department. Larry, the co-worker who should have gotten the promotion, was now being considered for advancement instead. When he finished talking, I asked just one question. If I hadn't found out, and if I hadn't exposed everything, how long would you have continued lying to my face every single day? He couldn't answer, and that told me everything. I told him, calmly, that while I appreciated his honesty now, it was too late. That he hadn't just cheated. He had stolen my time, my trust, and my sense of reality. That while he was figuring things out, I was planning our future, believing in promises that were already broken. I told him I forgave him, not for his sake but for mine, because carrying that anger would only hurt me in the long run. His face when I said that, it was like he'd been preparing for more rage and had no defense against compassion. I left him sitting there at the cafe, and it felt like closing the final chapter of a book I never wanted to read again. The weeks that followed were a blur of practical matters. I found a cute studio apartment that's just mine, decorated it exactly how I want. Sorted out the financial mess. Lost some money, yes, but protected most of my investment. Started therapy twice a week. Best decision ever, y'all. Leaned heavily on friends who showed up in ways I never expected. As for Dina, she actually reached out again a couple of months later. After the HR investigation and all the drama, she decided to transfer back to the Chicago office. She told me Harrison had been lying to her too, telling her our relationship was basically over, that we were only staying together for financial reasons until the house purchase was complete. She apologized for her part and wished me well. We're not friends, obviously, but at least there's no lingering animosity. Last I heard from mutual friends, I don't ask, but people tell me anyway, Harrison transferred to his company's Seattle office for a fresh start. Apparently, even after the probation, the workplace had become too uncomfortable. His boss gave him the option to transfer or find a new job, and he chose to transfer. Harrison's parents still call me occasionally, believe it or not. They were so shocked by the recordings, but after processing everything, they've maintained a relationship with me, separate from their son. His mom even sent me a care package on my birthday with homemade cookies and a heartfelt card saying she still thinks of me as family. The house we almost bought? It sold to another couple last month. I drove by it recently, saw their moving truck in the driveway, and felt nothing but relief that it wasn't me tied to that mortgage and to Harrison. Last week, I was unpacking the last box in my new apartment. Yes, it took me 6 months to fully unpack. Don't judge, LOL, and found an old birthday card from Harrison. It read, "To many more years of adventure together." A few months ago, finding this would have sent me into a spiral. This time, I just smiled sadly and threw it away. I still have the recordings, yes, but they're locked away where no one else will ever see them. They serve their purpose, and I don't need to keep revisiting that pain. I'm legally and financially completely separated from Harrison now. No shared accounts, no shared debts. A clean break. So people called me damaged goods. But honestly, who hurt you? I'm doing better than ever. And I don't regret sending those videos to his boss. Harrison using his relationship with Dina to professionally advance, while Larry, with 3 kids and a sick wife, got passed over. that needed to be exposed too. So I put an end to the lies, shattered his perfect double life, and walked away. But I'm still curious. If you were in my shoes, would you have done things differently? Would you have just walked away quietly, or would you have gone nuclear like I did? Let me know in the comments below. I really want to hear what you think.